Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Taking Up Space on Michelle Amir Podcast. Always excited about coming forward, y'all. Today is absolutely, positively no different. Hope y'all doing good. Happy Friday, everyone. Thank God it's Friday. I would have did a Friday Night Live, but my other phone is not charged, and, I ain't got time for all that. So I just decided to come on and just drop a word and leave it at that. I was thinking about what I could talk about, and I was thinking of love relationships. I don't know why. I was thinking of love relationships and, and the stages of life, right? Like the stages of life we're in. Because the stages of life having to do with love relationships are very important, to me at least. I can recall when I was younger, I would be more open to taking chances and going above and beyond within love relationships because I didn't have a lot of experience on my side. And that was the phase of life that I needed to do those things within. I needed to get out there and have my experiences at taking chances with love and going in and out of love relationships and things of that nature as best I could, because I was not ever the girl. I don't ever want to come on here and make it seem like I was the girl that always had a boyfriend. I was not her. I've never been that girl. I have been very selective. I was extremely selective in my walk, and it doesn't make me a goody two shoes. I was not a goody two shoes, but I was on the exclusive side. Like, I didn't fool with everybody like that. You know what I mean? And even being on the exclusive side, I did date people that I probably shouldn't have, that were crash and burns, people that, today I can look back on and say, I don't even know why I entertained him, But that's what I'm talking about. That was the process. That was what I needed to do during that season. Thank you, friend. We all have those seasons in our lives where we need to have our trial and error as it relates to love relationships. But through it all, you got to hold on to the aspects of yourself, and you've got to be able to learn yourselves and learn what worked and what didn't work and be honest with yourself about it. And not always project everything that's negative off to the other person. Take accountability and see what your strengths and weaknesses are and build them up. And I was thinking about where I am now. I'm a mature woman. I've lived a full life. I've had a great run. And I was thinking about love relationships today, and it just occurred to me, and I've been this way for a while. Even though love relationships are not on the top of my list, they are not, honestly, because I built a life that is self-sustaining. I don't really need anything external to make me feel valid. But having a companion, somebody that I could enjoy their company and they can enjoy mine and we can grow off of one another would be great. But with all the complications of life, right? With all the highs and lows that we all have weathered, especially us mature people, us 40 and up, it's not a lot that we're really willing to compromise. And it's not a lot that we will overlook. And neither is there a lot that we're going to turn a blind eye to and act like we don't see. Because we've passed that stage in life. Like, we've been there and done that. We know what that costs. At least I do. I know how expensive that can be. It's cheap in the beginning. It's real cheap initially. You can get into it real quick and easy. It's like getting a car. You can get into it with no money down. It didn't cost you nothing to get it. But to keep it, and then what it takes to hold on to it, and then what the effect is after you've lost it is like the downer. I would rather spend money. I would rather invest. I would rather it cost me something up front and allow me to make the decision in investing in it. Give me all the facts and allow me to make the decision. Sell me on the truth, friend. Whatever happened to that? That's the art of selling. Don't sell me on a misnomer. Don't sell me on a lie. Don't insult me like that, because that's an insult to somebody like myself. Sell me on the truth. Tell me the good, the bad, and the ugly, and then make it so compelling. Make yourself so compelling that I will accept that. Friend, don't you know that there are people out here that will accept your good, your bad, and your ugly? If you sold them on the truth of you, the compelling aspect of you, because truth be told, everybody got something that they want to hide. But to sell someone on the truth of you and be inclusive of all the ugly stuff is a blessing. Friend, I would rather you see me. There have been instances in my life where people were privy to me at intervals in my life where it wasn't the best time for you to be privy to me. It wasn't a good look. I ain't have it all together. I got side teeth missing. You know what I'm saying? I got issues. And you're privy on levels that are uncomfortable to somebody like me. And in the beginning, it was uncomfortable. I didn't like it. I hated the fact that I was being seen. But then I began to just be myself and do like I normally do. And I began to relax in that, knowing that I'm being seen, being myself in the midst of all of my mess and all of my hangups and all of my nonsense. And that in itself was the most liberating and the freest I think I've probably ever been. Honestly. The freest. There was nothing to hide. All the cards were laid bare, face up on the table. And I began to dance in that, regardless to the ugly. Sell the ugly with the good. Because in doing so, it sets you apart. Everybody in the world, friend, is selling the good. Everybody is selling only the beautiful. Even though it only lasts for a small window of time before that ugly starts creeping in, and then they slam the door, they push it back and slam the door shut again. But not many can come forward and show the ugly. And the good. And the beautiful. I was thinking about Samson when I thought about this. I thought about Samson because, when Samson was coming up, he was surrounded by Philistines. Israel had befriended the Philistine nation, his tribe. And because of that, what was supposed to be a monumental walk for Samson was led by many snags and snares. It led him into many snags and snares. He got caught up in all kind of stuff because his path was riddled with influences that never should have been influences in his life. And because Samson was a young man, in the dating game amongst enemies. He's dating the enemies, the women of the enemies of the nation. They're frenemies. Let's just say they're frenemies. They're cool sometimes, but if you give them the opportunity, they'll get you. They'll get you. And you can't be mad at them because they never misrepresent themselves. They always show who they are to you. You know what they are. You know what they're about, but you choose to hang out with them, thinking that your reputation will be strong enough amongst them to be able to keep them at bay. And it does for an extended amount of time, but that 1% or that half of a percentile is bound to happen. And so it was for Samson. Samson dated only Philistine women because it was status quo amongst Israel. You were a nobody if you didn't have a Philistine woman. You didn't date the women of your community. You didn't date the Danite women. You didn't date the women of Judah. You dated the Philistine. And even though there's nothing wrong with Philistine women per se, if you were a child of the house of Israel, it was against the commandment of God. You were out of alignment. So it was a big deal, but Samson's tribe were renowned for breaking these kind of rules. So it was just who they were. But because Samson had such a monumental calling on his life, he stood out like a sore thumb amongst these people. He was a warrior and a judge. You didn't want to see Samson coming, friend. You didn't want to start him up. Samson was that cousin, that family member, that homie in the neighborhood that don't play with him. He's cool. He's fun. You're going to see him at the parties. He likes the girls. But when it comes to man stuff, you don't want to play with him. He's not going to bother you. He's not going to overstep your boundaries. He's going to be respectful. He's going to stay in his lane. He's going to do his thing. But if you try him, he's not going to let it go. Y'all know this type I'm talking about. Every neighborhood across America has a Samson. Even the burbs has a Samson, friend. And his enemies would know his weakness. His weakness were women. Samson wanted to be loved, y'all. And because Samson grew up in an environment where he constantly dated women outside of the law of God, and because he had such a significant calling on his life, he had a calling on his life like none other of the house of Israel. He was a Nazirite from the womb. So all that he did was under a microscope. He was a powerful man, but he didn't look it. This is why people would try him. They would hear all of this stuff about him and they couldn't believe it because he's small. He's skinny. He's not a big buff guy. He's not no muscle-bound, weightlifting kind of guy. Samson was a small man, but he was mighty. He had a lot of heart, friend. You didn't want to fool with him. Once you get him started, you read it in the Bible. It's so thorough as to what he was about that it's comical. He would do all kinds of things because he could. Because he knew that you gave him a reason. And now he's going to take it to the fullest. This was Samson. You looked at him as if he was weak, so that means that you have the spirit of trying to attack the weak. You're the type of guy or the kind of girl that goes after the weak and the elderly. You attack the women and the children. And that type of spirit, Samson would easily be able to lock in on and say, okay, they're doing this to me because they think I'm weak. They're the type of people that attack the weak. Now you've given me a pass. And Samson just was not the person you would want to give a pass to, because he was not weak. He was mightier than the mightiest men. There was none mightier than Samson. He had courage. He had heart. He had character. But his only problem was that he loved the women of the enemy's tribe, the Philistine. He loved the Philistine women. And because he grew up in this, he knew nothing but that. He could never find safety with the Philistine women. He's always going from one to the next. And in between the major women that he actually claimed, he would date prostitutes. Hoes. He loved the party girls. He's never been able to establish a loving, nurturing relationship with a woman. And in the meantime, he's a mighty man of valor, a notable warrior, an opponent that you don't want to have. And so his brethren, frenemies, they attack him through the women. He trusts the woman he marries. He trusts her. Yet he soon finds out that he can never trust the women that he's come to love, because there's no loyalty with them and he. They are Philistine. He is Israelite. And in the Philistine camp, the Philistine men were so wicked that they would harm the woman just to get to Samson. And this is what they threatened the wife with. They threatened harm to her and her family if she doesn't give them information on Samson. She gives it. And long story short, Samson ends up losing a bet. He's angry. He knows that they've gotten the information from his newlywed wife, and they've ruined his marriage. He cannot trust his wife anymore. He feels ostracized. He leaves. He attacks. He moves out of emotion and he attacks. And he does a bunch of noteworthy but highly petty activity that is extremely effective. And it begins this tirade. And long story short, Samson ends up moving from one woman to the next. He can't land his plane. He's hovering and he's looking for a landing strip in his plane. He's running low on gas. And he's tired of flying. He wants to land. He wants to put it in park and sit down and be loved on and nurtured by somebody he can trust. Because you can only sleep with only so many hoes as you can. It's not, your life can't be full of that. It's not anything fulfilling in that. You will need attachment. But because Samson is young, And because he's focusing his attention on women outside of the law of God, and he has a monumental calling on his life. He's a Nazarite from the womb. That means from the time the egg connected with the sperm, he was a Nazarite, which nobody else was. He's the only one of his kind. So what worked for other people in them being able to stand outside of the commandment of God will not work for Samson. None of Samson's relationships will work. He doesn't understand. He understands why, but he doesn't, because he sees his brethren all working with them. But why is it not working with me? And he never changes his way of thinking as to the type of people he picks. It's either Philistine women, righteous women, or Philistine hoes. It's one or the other. But they were all Philistine. Delilah. His enemies run the same game on Delilah. And I'm here to tell you, this is what it was on my spirit today. Samson was younger and he had these problems. Had he had even an average level of good relationships when he was younger, and then as he got older, he became posed with these problems, he would have been able to handle it better. But because he had never had a successful relationship with anybody, he doesn't know how to handle it. And it causes him to be so frustrated. It causes his feelings to overtake him and to rule him in a way. But what brought this to my attention today as I was pondering relationships, especially things in my life, like me even thinking of dating somebody. The reason why I thought of Samson was because sometimes, like in life, y'all, your life can become so complicated that you got to date from a distance. You see, if Samson would have had a little bit more maturity on his side, and had he had the experience of a good relationship at least once for a duration of time, he would have been strong enough to date from a distance. He would have been strong enough to really work on himself, get himself together, and then decide who he wants to partner with in his life. Because after a certain age, that's what dating is. When I was in my 20s, it really wasn't a partnership. I really didn't have any power in my relationships when I was in my 20s. I just wanted to get selected. I just wanted him to tell me we go together. I really wasn't standing in any power in my 20s. I really wasn't. My 30s, I came into my power. But life can become so complicated that the enemy will do to you like they did to Samson. It was Samson's enemies, the Philistines, that really ruined Samson's love life, because they corrupted the women he dated. He would meet these women, and then the Philistines would get a hold of them and get in their ear, either with threats or with money. The first woman they got in her ear was Samson's wife, and they threatened her and her father and her family and said they were going to unalive them and do all this kind of nonsense to their living home and all this kind of stuff. So she felt forced to betray Samson. And then Delilah, the kings of the Philistine, come to her and offer her riches that will set her up for the rest of her life. She would never have to depend on another man for nothing again, all from finding out his weakness. And that is exactly what happens in life. Not for everyone. This is not for everyone, but for certain people. It can be, there are people out here that will come and portray themselves as this, that, and the other and be complete wolves in sheep clothing. And you'll be looking at them like, friend, take the sheep's clothing off, friend. I see you. I see you as a wolf, friend. Here you go again, acting like Spider-Man. And you're invisible. I see you. But they'll never admit it, but you'll know. This was on my spirit today. And how these same things happen today. There are people in the world that will send those amongst you to entice you, for you to gain their trust, for you to let them in, for you to be accepting of them. All based upon a lie. And then there are those that will come upon you and that will be their representative, the best self that they have, because they don't have enough confidence in who they really are to show that, and then to sell you on that, to sell you on the truth. You see, the women that came to Samson, or Samson was enticed upon, all saw Samson for who he truly was. There will be people that will come upon you that will see you for who you truly are, friend. They will see you for who you truly are, because all of you has been displayed for some of you. But they will not feel as strong enough to show you who they truly are. They will need to show you only certain aspects because they don't feel confident in showing you the full truth, because they themselves are ashamed of the full truth. Yet my word to you today is, in you showing your full truth and allowing someone to either accept or deny, yet if they accept, what a powerful truth that was. How powerful is that? To sell someone on the good, the bad, and the ugly, and then for them to still say, that's mine. I'm rolling with that. I got to have that. That's mine. I'm accepting of that. I know to you that's not accepting, and that's not acceptable, rather. But to me, I can deal with that. I can work with that. Instead of selling them on a false ideology or false concept, only to find out later that is false. And then for them to make the decision later that they could have made earlier, saving you time and then them time. Because, friend, I'm here to tell you, in 2027, the wolves in sheep clothing really look like wolves in sheep clothing. They look like wolves dressed up for Halloween. Take your costume off, friend. Stand upright and talk to me in your big boy voice. And tell me of your truths. Tell me of your ugly stuff. And give me the opportunity to decide. That's the word that I have for you today. That's the word I have. Because truth be told, the decision may be no with the lie, and the decision may be no with the truth. This decision may be no with both, but we could be friends. There could be something salvageable about it. But to think you're just going to bamboozle your way into someone's life is crazy work. It's interesting work, friend. That's my Friday night conversation for y'all today. Friday night convo. How y'all doing tonight on a Friday? Living on the edge because we got them hot heads. I wish my radio would have my battery charger, but my daughter has it and I ain't got time to be trying to go and get all of that. I would put me some music on. Maybe it's good that I don't have my music tonight. Maybe it's good. Because I wouldn't be playing no gospel tonight. I want to hear some regular everyday music. So maybe that's good that I'm not doing that. You know, this channel is a spiritual channel, but I don't just listen to spiritual music. I listen to all kind of music. He said Biggie and Tupac. Yeah, for real, Raw X. I would. I'd be playing some Biggie and Tupac, for real. Literally. I mean, I do like all kinds of music. I don't just listen to gospel music all day. And that's the thing. Like, when you come forward with spiritual perspectives, they expect you to be this particular way. That's called an act. Sometimes I be thinking people want actors and actresses. That's not real. There's no denying that God loves me and God has his hand over my life. I don't need to act. Why act when you can just be? It's interesting. It is real interesting, y'all. It's real. God is not looking for actors. He is not looking for actors, friend. God is looking for real life people. Real everyday folk. People like me and you. Because these are the people that God works through. Believe it or not. I am going to cut it short, y'all. I'm going to cut it short. Unless anybody has anything they want to say and I can dialogue with you. I don't want to just be hanging on and, rambling. Like I'm streaming or something. I notice the streamers, they just kind of kick it. They just kind of, they just... I didn't understand what streaming was at first. See, all this stuff didn't make sense to me. I see this like, not to be dissing a streamer, but like for someone like me, I would never have thought to stream. Even though I tried it, but I felt so uncomfortable because I felt like I wasn't giving anything. I feel like when I come on this channel, I need to offer you something. I need to give you some content. Like I need to be talking about something. Not just looking at my phone or doodling on paper or whatever. But it seems like there is a platform for that. And, so maybe I have it wrong. And I probably do. You know what I mean? Like I said, yesterday I went on and I did the video while I was cooking. And, I was like, okay, that was kind of cool when I rewound it and listened to it. I was like, okay. So, newness. I don't have a team of people that give me ideas. I don't have a bunch of friends that are like, girl, I like your content, but you should do this, or, I like that and you should do. I don't have that. This is the one woman organization, me and God. And so it's kind of like that. But it's coming along. It was good speaking with you all today. I hope you all enjoyed the podcast. Showing your truest self. Selling people on the truth of you. Yeah, letting people see the good, the bad, and the ugly. And then getting them to still buy in is where it's at. Not hiding stuff. Not acting. But being yourself. Letting your light shine. And being confident that it will shine and that it's worthy of shining. Regardless to who buys in or who doesn't. Because it's your light. This little light of mine, friend, I'm going to let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Happy Friday, everyone. Love y'all. Be good to yourselves and be good to one another. Oh, and if you want some phenomenal body oils, some phenomenal bath salts, if you want some good, deeply cleansing body cleansers, check out my website, www.chloemichelleskin.store. Peace and love.